Dr. Corey Hebert is here, assistant professor at LSU's Health Sciences Center. Doc, look, let's look forward, not backward. How do we not make bad decisions in the future when there's another disease that's even more deadly than COVID if we're not honest about how we did things this time?
Well, one thing I will start off by saying is that there was not one person in America, citizen or official, that didn't make a mistake during the COVID response. We started out even before COVID by limiting access to lots of really classified documents. And we also started out before COVID by liquidating a lot of our stores of PPE across the country. So everybody made mistakes. The problem is my favorite device is called the retrospectoscope. And the retrospectoscope doesn't really exist. But when you look through it, you can make sure that you did nothing wrong. And that is where we are. As a medical broadcast journalist for the past 20 years, I was very aggressive about my COVID journalistic response, all right? But the issue is when things are coming from the CDC, we're looking at those things and we're having to report it. The CDC really did not do a good job. The United States federal government did not do a good job. The military did not do a good job, and our leaders did not do a good job. But what I will say is that the science should always lead. And in a public health emergency, it's a three-legged, sometimes four-legged stool. And the three-legged stool is the first leg is science, the second leg is politics, the third leg is public outcry, but that fourth leg is money. And that should never have anything to do with science. And that's what led to our demise.
Fair enough. I guess what I'm trying to get at, though, is that I would add even a fifth leg, which is the media. And you say science should always lead, but I'm old enough to remember when Dr. Fauci said this about science. Take a listen.
Mm-hmm. But they're really criticizing science because I represent science.
You know, I could go through all of the contradictions in the science, right? Because science changed, but there was a lack of humility by a number of leading scientists, shall we say, that they could be wrong or admitting that they were wrong. Not perhaps because they had any ill intent, but there you go. So my question comes, has there been any desire by the scientific community to try and earn that trust back? And how can you earn trust back if you don't say, hey, to your point, we're sorry, we were wrong, this is what we're going to learn from?
Yeah, I think that once you've gotten to the highest level of science or government, it's really hard for you to check your ego and say that you were wrong. I think that's one of the hardest things that people across the board have to do. But we have to look at this, and we have to look at it statistically. We have to look at this in a way that we really need to take it apart piece by piece and really hold people accountable for the things that they did say wrong. We know that there were a lot of things that they did say right. We know that that COVID was, a horrible disease that killed over 1 million people. How many of those people that were killed, actually died from some other things and not COVID, but they actually had COVID when they died. There's a lot of things like that, but what we can never gloss over is the fact that a coronavirus, whether it was started at a wet market or whether it was manufactured in China, which we will never know the truth because China will never let us know, that it ravaged us and it made us break apart. And now it's time for us to get back together so that we can know for the next time around, because it's coming, that we can work together and get something done in a way that is cohesive and not disjointed and separates this country the way it is.
Fair enough. Almost killed me. So I hear you, especially about where it came from is important.
Sure.
Hey, Doc, it's good to see you. Thank you. I appreciate the thoughts and the serious nature of them. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.